All right, let's talk about the dollar because everybody says the dollar's weak, the dollar's horrible, the dollar's this, the dollar's that. You know, everybody talks shit on the dollar. Okay, I'm here to talk differently. Don't talk shit on my dollar. This is a 5-year chart, guys. I don't know what you guys see there, but I see something that's gone sideways. And everything I hear in the press is weak dollar, weak dollar. Now, yes, it's been weak this year. Like, you look at the chart, you can see that peak right here. And so, yes, it's been a weak dollar year, which has probably been a source of gold and silver's rally. However, we're now here at this line of support, which used to be resistance. The dollar couldn't get above this. So everybody who was weak dollar, guess what? 7 years ago, it was weaker than today. And so that I'm trying to get the point across that when you hear weak dollar and you think that the dollar's like at 50 cents on the dollar, it's at 98, 99. 100 is like where we like to keep it. That's like 100 is like the stable zone of global structure, right? So don't listen to what you hear in the news. I'll let you know when the dollar is really weak. But from a chart perspective, you got this long-term support, and you're bouncing on it, which is not great. I like bottoms to be, bounce and go. So you're skimming along here, which is not technically great. However, as I shrink up the chart and give you something that looks over the last year, you can see that we continue to kind of have good support at this level, resistance here. This is no man's land. Everything that happens in this zone is irrelevant to global markets. All the wheels on the bus stay together. Something will push it out of this, but where? And so this is what we talked about last in October, November. So since then, here's where we've been. There's no man's land, and we started to climb out of it right after our last event. We started to climb out of no man's land, and now we've tucked back into it. If we stay in 2026 just kind of bouncing around in here, which we could, because currency trends are slow moving, all right, for a reason, a good reason. You want them slow moving. And so, this could totally bounce around here for many, many months. And if that's the case, then no threat to the stock market, no threat to interest rates, probably not much threat to gold and silver. Party on, right? We start to get significantly above that red line of no man's land, and we get back to 100, 101, 102, then that means all these other global currencies are getting weaker. And as that happens, it changes dynamics of portfolio allocation. So that's what we got to watch in 2026. If things just do what they've been doing, no big deal. However, we start to cross over certain lines, the portfolio will have to make some adjustments because this will trickle into certain algorithms changing things. It'll change the way certain money managers manage things. And because it won't happen in a vacuum, it'll be happening as a result of or in conjunction with other assets hitting inflection points like interest rates and gold. So that is why I think the dollar is going to be a really subject matter for us and clients, because I'm looking at it as one of those years where it actually starts to become a little bit of a lever point for other things. So we'll see if that happens. But that's my read based on the charts and based on kind of the fundamental story of what I see 2026 playing out to be. So what I'm going to watch next is this little pullback that we've been getting in the dollar. I'm going to see, does it end to where we could draw a little bit of a upsloping trend line? That'd be really interesting. Like if the dollar can pivot here and get back up, that's probably not good for gold and silver. But if it does, then that'll be the early tell for us to be watch our metals holdings. If you break down, if this line doesn't create any support, if it just breaks down and you go back down to the dark green line, then metals probably continue to hold together and we don't have to be all that concerned. So the next 2-3 weeks, as you guys are all eating turkey and enjoying Christmas and New Year's, I'm going to watch charts of the dollar, because it'll tell us a lot more of what to do with other assets in the portfolio when you get into next year. Gentlemen, dollar, you guys got anything you love, hate?
The dollar, I mean, a weak dollar, and I wouldn't, like you said, that's not weak, but a lower value dollar increases exports, has, increases people coming here to spend money. It's not like it has this all, unless it drops to like 50 cents, but right around that 100 is the sweet spot, I think. So I don't see an issue. It's kind of like rates. If we stay in that sweet spot, it's stability.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't argue with that. How
Do you
about the bald
think
guy?
if it breaks the solid green line in a meaningful way, that would
Mm.
set up a person potentially thinking there might be another run in metals?
Yeah, I would tell you that if you broke that solid green line, I would expect that the result would be additional rally to the gold and silver market. Um, it's hard for me to think of what levels that would be if that reverse correlation continued. Um, so yeah, I think the early tell will be, can you create this kind of trend line after this dip? Like the next week, 2 weeks in the U.S. dollar, I think could be kind of an interesting tell on what to do with other things, like especially metals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know, if you broke that, like your question makes me think about if the dollar broke that support level, would I chase metals? Like, would I buy more? Like, or if I was
Right.
somebody who did, if I was somebody who didn't have any metals in my portfolio, would I jump in? I don't know. Because
I think there's
then
more
you'd be,
factors that you'd have to take consideration because if the dollar breaks that level, what the heck is going on
yeah,
outside?
and a lot of times you break these levels, things like this, and you whipsaw them. So I guess it would be, how do you break? Like, do you break it and have sustained breakdown? Um, so I guess I'd have to make that judgment call when, if and when that happens. I guess it's hard to predict right now what I would do. I definitely would be thinking about it if I, if this trend, if the dollar doesn't reverse here and this trend line doesn't start to get created, then that will become a forethought for my mind. Like, I'll start to obsess on that. I'll spend my whole Christmas obsessing on it. Uh, yeah, so that's a good question, Justin. I don't know. We'll see. So that's my thought. As you're watching things, it'd be interesting to see if 2026 turns out to be a year of more strength than weakness. The charts would support it, but really the charts are kind of up for grabs at this particular situation in my read. So more time will tell us. So, I would say, the most important thing is it's going to give us an early tell on metals and rates, and if you have an early tell on rates, you can get an early tell on REITs and utilities and those other things. So I do see the dollar as becoming more of the dog that wags the tail rather than the tail of the dog. So we'll see how that can turn. So let's wrap it up. As we wrap this up, if you have a friend, marketing, growing, expanding a business nowadays is more difficult than ever. Digital media sucks. It's expensive. It doesn't work. All the Google, Facebook, they're all liars. They love to charge business owners a bunch of money for advertising that doesn't work. So if you have a friend, if you have a family member that could use what we do, please refer them to us because we highly appreciate the referrals. We had a lot of referrals this year, so I appreciate all of those. Here's our wrap up. Interest rates. I don't have any big concerns about interest rates right now. It doesn't sound like Justin or Patrick do either. Seems like right now we're in this Goldilocks zone. All we really got to do is be watching for that to be wrong. This is like for interest rates. The most important question to ask is how could I be wrong in the lower rates thesis, right? Because if the lower rates or existing rates, right, we stay in this level exists, then no problem. But if we start to get above 4.5%, then portfolio management will have to be made and allocations will have to be changed. In the stock market, we're in unprecedented territory. Midterms tend to bring in some caution. However, our Balboa approach seems to be working really well. And it's, just don't be complacent. This is a good time for active tactical management. Metals, the rally's on. We're looking for signs of exhaustion. We're really going to watch the next pivot in the US dollar for early tells. We will do our next event in the at the end of January. And by then we'll have a much better read on the dollar. We'll tell you if that trend line held. And by then I'm sure we would have had some moves in metals and other things that will be noteworthy. So, gentlemen, as we wrap it up, is there anything you guys would like to add other than, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, all that kind of stuff?
No, I think let everybody get going with their dinner.
All right. Well, no, I feel like that commercial with the basketball player and the comedian guy where he's like, hey, can I get Shaq? That's all I got is no. That's hot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You got to see the commercial. It's great. It's with LeBron James.
Oh, with Kevin Hart?
And Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
He's like, he asked him a question and LeBron James goes, it's everything. He's like, can I get Shaq? I mean, he wouldn't say that. Come on, give me something enthusiastic.
We need to pray for a Santa Claus rally.
Yeah, that would be great. We need from here to the rest of the year. We want small caps, healthcare, financials, and utilities. Rally, and energy. Rally. No more sell-offs. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Should we open it up? I don't know if I can open it up for questions. Here's what I'm going to do real quick, everybody. Before I turn the recording, I'm going to give everybody a chance. I'm going to unmute everybody. And if you have a question before we all get out of here, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and throw it out there because I just set everybody up. So if you do have a question, you can unmute yourself by clicking the little red microphone that is to the right. So I'll give everybody a minute to see that. And if you want to throw a question out there, we're here for you. What's that?
Bueller.
We'll see. We'll see if we get a question. I'm always waiting for somebody who doesn't have a question. They just have a rude comment.
Like it's hard to take you seriously with those Dumbo ears?
Yeah, what is wrong with you? All right, so I'll give everybody one more chance to ask a question, but everybody's running out of the room. They're diving out.
That's what I noticed. It was like he said, "Hey, does anybody want to ask any questions?"
Anybody want a question?
Everybody just
here.
pulled the ejection cord.
All right. Well, I think that's a sign we can end it. That's a sign you guys suck. Get out. All right, guys. Thanks. Hey, have a great Christmas, Patrick. I'll let you know how that goes tomorrow when I see those people. Justin, say hi to Amy. And you guys have a good Christmas, good Hanukkah, good whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
Likewise.
Take care. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.